My name's Tommy Hughes, for all your listeners that don't know me. 26 years old, originally from just outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So Canadian at heart, but Turkish descent. And I moved down to Miami, which is where we are.
That's
but
awesome.
I'm a world-renowned speaker, mindset coach, public speaking coach, mentor in sales leadership, and mindset and public speaking, like I said, as well as, DJ at night, coach by day, speaker by day, and then have some other businesses on the side too. So just a lot of things going on at this point, serial entrepreneur, and tons of podcasts. Just did 2 movies last week.
Man, you did 2 movies?
Yeah, 2 documentaries, and then, might be on a dating show soon. So we got a lot of stuff happening. Man,
we got a lot of stuff. Okay.
A lot of stuff happening.
You can't say, do you know the name of the movie or what?
Yeah.
Can you say the name of the movie?
Course.
What is
it? It's The Art of Manifestation. Maybe you've seen the movie The Secret.
Yeah.
I've
seen
like
it.
this sequel to The Secret.
Wow.
So a lot of the people that were in
So is it a documentary or movie? What is it?
Documentary/movie.
Interesting. Yeah. So when is it going to release?
2026.
2026.
And then I was also in one called Men Speaking. Actually showed up to the shoot for Art of Manifestation. And he's like, hey, we think you'd be great for Men Speaking. I'm like, what's that? He's like, it's all about masculinity and like how men should be. Obviously, the world's changed a lot. So I was in there as well. And they want to put me on the TV show. So a lot of cool stuff happening in the background, tons of podcasts. And
that's dope, man.
The setup was my favorite because I love blue. Blue's my favorite color.
That's awesome, man.
I was checking out
the
content.
Did you manifest that?
Man, I'm here for a week. I'm going on tour literally on Friday. I'm going all across Canada, going to Europe, the States. So I have like 9 events I'm speaking at. And
that's crazy, man.
Smaller events, masterminds for my team that I mentor. So I mentor like thousands of people through my academy called Revolt Academy online, like sales, leadership, mindset. So I was like, hey, you know what? I got 2 more podcasts on Wednesday.
Right.
So kick off the week
Beautiful,
strong.
man. I love
Momentum
it, man.
Monday, man. So I appreciate you having me.
Yeah,
brother.
man. It's an honor, man. It's an honor to have you here. And man, there's so much I want to talk to you about because, about manifestation. But before we get into that, tell me a little bit about your upbringing, man. Like what got you into what you do today?
Yeah. Got to know the background.
Yeah. What's the why? Like how did you get into it?
Yeah. So, I'll take you back to the beginning. So I grew up just outside of Toronto. People probably don't know the name, but I'll say it's called Waterloo, Ontario, London, Ontario, Canada. So smaller cities.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy. And, just went the normal route, man. Went to high school, didn't get so good at grades. I always say you don't got to be smart to make money. One of my first mentors taught me that.
Right.
And, then my parents were like, hey, go to school. I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I remember in Canada, we have something called a careers class. And I remember scrolling through all the jobs, like police officer, $70,000, or teacher, $80,000, $50K starting. And I was like, I'm not fulfilled about any of these. I think as a kid, you always want to be an astronaut. Who doesn't want to go to the moon?
Sure.
Right. But, I just wasn't fulfilled and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I always knew I was going to be successful. I just didn't know exactly how I was going to do it. So I went to school in Toronto, studied business marketing, did like 2 years, graduated. And then I was like, okay, cool. Now what? I basically got into the industry of network marketing at a very young age. My mom accidentally enrolled me into a company where we were selling essential oils. I was like sick in college. I had like papers. I had exams and I was like super sick. And I was taking all the like supplements like Tylenol, Dayquil, right. All this stuff that's not good for you.
Right.
And nothing was working, obviously, because it's just a mask as it is anyways. Right. And she's like, take this oil. I'm like, nah, those are for weirdos, 18 years old, 17 years old. Took the oil, woke up the next day. It's like Jesus put his hand over my body.
Wow.
And I was like completely healed. I was like, this is crazy. So I was like ignorance on fire. I was just so fired up. I started like selling all my friends, roommates on like these diffuser kits with oils and, helped my mom rank up in the company, but she didn't even know it was network marketing because she was using the oils for like her healing journey.
Right.
So anyways, her upline, they called her and was like, hey, sit me down with your son. Because she's like, what are you doing, Lisa? That's my mom's name. And then she's like, it's my son, Tommy. And sat down with her. They showed me the business. I did that for a little bit, but obviously selling essential oils to mom for the rest of my life wasn't the path. So
yeah.
Got out of that. And, I graduated from school at like 20. I was broke as a joke, busted, disgusted. I was into DJing at the time, but, that wasn't really paying the bills. It was more of a hobby at that time. Right. And I always was like the life of the party kind of guy. I remember in high school, I watched the movie Project X. I got so inspired.
Project X.
Yeah, it's like a big party movie. And I got so inspired, I started throwing like party's called Project Ooze. In high school, we started like 50 people, 100, 200, 400.
And you would charge for that.
I wouldn't charge, but we would just pack it out. You know, it's like an event. So I basically ended up, when I was 20, getting a 9-to-5 in marketing. And it was my last job that I've worked. And I remember sitting there and I was like, I don't want to be like my boss. I don't want to be like a guy who has to clock in every day. You know, I like to call it the 40-40-40 plan, which is working 40 hours a week to retire with 40% of your income after 40 years of your life. Like, who's trying to start their life at 60? Not me.
Right.
You know, and I was like, I need to find a way. So I'm literally Googling online how to become a millionaire, how to become successful.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I feel like everyone's asked ChatGPT nowadays.
Yeah,
or Google
man.
it. If
Oh
they
my
haven't, they're lying
gosh.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I basically like entrepreneurship, sales, trading, and investing kept popping up. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me look into this stuff. And I remember going to the bank in Canada. It's similar to like a Wells Fargo or a Chase out here in Miami. It's called Scotiabank. So I went in there. I was like all like happy and joyful. I was like, hey, I want to learn how to trade. And they're like, yeah, download this app. No education, no path, no priority. So I was like, wow. Okay, this isn't really going to help me. So I kind of gave up on that pretty quickly. But to backtrack a little bit, my parents have always been like super optimistic and positive. You know, my dad comes from like a Turkish background, immigrant, came here with nothing, built up his own entrepreneurship empire with my mom. Mom's like teacher background. But my mom took us and dad to Tony Robbins at 16 years old. And I walked on fire and I never burnt my feet. So you walk on 12 feet of burning hot coals. Yeah. And you don't burn your feet. It like shifts the paradigm. It mind boggles you a little bit, right? I'm like, how is that possible?
Interesting.
And he gets you in such like a peak state where you believe you can do anything. And I remember that. And my brother actually had met a guy in Miami who was doing this trading academy, educational network marketing company. I didn't really know it was network marketing. Thought it was just education for like trading. And I'm like, that's cool. I was like, oh, this isn't real. I was like skeptical at first. And then I was like broke as a joke at the time. So I'm like, okay, spending all my money going out on Wasted Wednesday, Thirsty Thursday, Figure It Out Fridays, I like to call it, because everyone's just trying to figure it out. Weekend warriors, right?
Right.
And I think that's where the law of association kicks in. You are who you hang out with. I'm sure you've heard you're the 5 people you spend the most time with, 5 incomes, everything. So yeah, basically this guy, he kept sending me his Instagram stories, my brother. And I was like, you know what, let me DM him. Get on a Zoom call with him. He's making $10,000 a month, living in Miami, 20 years old, living at my parents' house. I'm like, okay, I want to be this guy. Like, I want to be $10K a month back then was a lot of money to me. And to most people, it's a lot of money. But when obviously you get to a certain level, it's not. Right. And just, takes getting there. So I was like, yo, teach me how to do it. And I basically just signed up to this thing, had a credit card and a dream, and I joined this academy where I started learning about trading. It's funny, I did nothing for like 4 months.
What was the name of the academy?
It was called I Am Mastery Academy. Okay, maybe you've heard of it. It doesn't exist anymore.
No, I don't think so. No.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore.
I know some of the new ones now, and
yeah. So I was in that for a few years, but the moral of the story is I went to my first event in Dallas, Texas, and I went to this big convention with like 10,000 people, and I saw some of my mentors today speak at that event. And I was so fascinated by what they were speaking on. So I saw my personal mentor, Bob Proctor. I know we were talking about off camera who he is. If you don't know who he is, transformational mindset coach. And I was like, okay, this guy's talking about the law of attraction. He's talking about goal setting, how most people are operating on this low frequency. And that's why they can't get their big goal of 10,000 a month, 100K a month, $1 million, whatever. It's like you need to get in alignment with your purpose and what you're vibrating at. And I was like, okay, wow, this is like so cool. And it reminded me and brought me back to when I went to Tony Robbins, because it like re-brought up and resurfaced what I had learned there 4 years prior. And I got so fascinated with the information I heard from him, a couple other individuals. My dad actually was at this event with me. He's like, hey, Bob Proctor's from Toronto, Tommy. He lives like 30 minutes from our house. I'm like, what are the odds? Law of attraction, right? Yeah. No such thing as a coincidence. Right. And I ended up going to that event, invested every dollar I had left in my savings and on my credit card in all of Bob's courses.
How much was it that back then?
I spent like $8,000. So I had like nothing after that. But I was like, I had this burning desire to be successful, but I didn't know what to do. And I didn't want to be like everybody else. I didn't want to just white picket fence, get married, have kids, 100K a year. Life's good. No, I wanted to get to a point in my life where I'm going to do what I want with whoever I want, because time, money wasn't an issue. I just didn't have a way to get there. And this platform was the starting point to that achievement of getting there and learning like high income skill sets like crypto and sales, leadership,
Mm-hmm.
just a lot of things they don't teach you in school, investing.
Yeah, they don't
And
do that.
I basically ended up following Bob and his journey. And, I came up with the idea to write my upcoming book. So I'm the author of the upcoming book, Mastering Your Mind, 21
Mastering
Proven
Mind.
Strategies to Take Your Life from 0 to 100. So everything I've learned to get myself from that broken, busted, disgusted kid to being a world-renowned speaker now, traveling, mentoring thousands of people,
Mm-hmm.
right? Really the bridge and the gap. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to fill the gap for everybody with that book, tell some stories, give some nuggets,
That's
some
awesome, man.
golden gems in there. But yeah, I basically ended up going to Bob's house, and there's a quick little honey badger story. I'll share this with you. So I basically went to this course, and it was on the spiritual universe versus the physical universe.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't Bob's course. It was one of Bob's good friends. So I
Right.
had bought like a bundle deal. So I'm at this course, and I walk into the Marriott Bonvoy Hotel in downtown Toronto, or by the airport, I think it was. And I see this guy with white hair with glasses walking towards me. And I'm like late, or like I'm like showing
Mhm.
up a little bit late. And I don't dress the way I do today. I'm in like chill vibes right now, but it's
Mhm.
either this or like a suit,
Right,
looking
right,
nice,
right,
dress
right, right.
shirt, right? So I walk in, and I was like manifesting and postulating meeting Bob. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it because I had never met him yet, but I've watched
Mhm.
him speak twice. And I just see a guy with white hair, glasses walking towards me. And then it was like the universe and God brought us together, and we just both stopped and like stared at each other and like shook hands, introduced myself, got to meet him. And I was going to ask him to forward my book, but I was like so caught off guard. I'm like 20 years old, tripping out, right? I'm like, I just met
Yeah.
like the guy who's literally changing my life. And yeah, he was actually teaching a course beside the course I was at. So I was out, it was lunch break, and I was like asking other people, I'm like, hey, do you guys know where Bob is? Like, it's like, oh, he's in there with his 16 executives. Don't go in. 10 seconds later, law of attraction moment, bellhop pushes open the door. I just jump right behind the bellhop.
Wow.
He goes in because he's like bringing food for them. I just bust through like 16 guys in suits and go up to him, and I told him about the idea for my book. And told him like I bought his courses, I want him to mentor me. And he's like, son, like you're very bold and confident. Like you just put yourself, you're like, you're saying go-getter.
Right.
And I'm not afraid to put myself, in situations to get what you want, because that's what you have to do. You have to be
Mhm.
willing to do what others won't in order to get what others don't have. And
Yeah.
Bob's like, I'll personally mentor you and take you under my wing. And I used to go to his house and learn from him. Got like an old video of me with like a shaven face
Wow.
on my Instagram. Maybe you saw it, but
Wow.
I learned from him as among some other mentors for the last, like 4 or 5 years of my life.
Yeah.
And then obviously he passed away, rest in peace to the
Yeah,
goat.
yeah.
But now at this point, I've, scaled. I have my own mindset program. I teach people, the spiritual side of success, manifestation. I was just in a movie about it with some of the guys that were in The Secret with Bob, which is like super cool. So, I've really taken all the information I've learned, done very well in the sales space as well, and helped
Mhm.
other people, do the exact same thing. And it's like, now I'm like a walking testimony of what's possible, because I don't come from, I don't know how raw and real we can be, but I don't come from the Lucky Sperm Club. You know what I mean?
You know what, there's a, it's not that I don't agree with it. It's something that I find really intriguing is that when I'm listening to you talk, I think that everyone is wired a certain way.
Mhm.
And again, it doesn't come down to the sperm itself, but
No, obviously not.
Right, you're the
Yeah.
lucky sperm that went through. But I do think that each person has a calling, and they're
A purpose, for
unique.
sure.
Yeah, they have that purpose, and it's so unique to hear you talk, because it's like not everyone thinks that way, and that's why I'm just like listening to you talk, and I'm like, this guy is just wired in a certain way that nothing is going to get in your way in order for you to reach that. And some
100%.
people are going to look at obstacles. They're going to look at certain things in their life, and they're going to be like, you know what? That's not achievable. I can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, most people listen to other people's opinions. I always say other people's opinions don't pay your bills, right? There's so many haters, and haters are just having anger towards everyone reaching success. That's
Right.
the acronym. And it's like, you can't allow other people or things that happen in your life to stop you from going after what you want. Like, everyone's like, poor me, why is this happening? Or you can change the perception of it and,
Right.
say, what is this trying to teach me? What is this trying to show me?
Exactly.
You ask for strength, God will give you challenges to make you strong,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So, you just gotta be able to persevere, have persistence and resilience, like all the things that's taught in TGR,
Yeah,
which I know you're a big fan of. So
yeah, that's why I love the conversations that we have, because I get a lot into my mind. And again, you look back at my childhood and this and that, and you never want to use that as something to cripple you, because sometimes we go too much to the past and we're like looking at that. But now it's like, now that I'm 43, you
wow, you
know,
look good, man.
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought you
Hey,
were
man, I
like
appreciate
31,
you, man.
bro.
That's why we're gonna be good friends,
Dang.
brother. That's why
You
the other
look
one is
good.
laughing back there.
Yeah.
He's like, haters, man.
Yeah.
But what I think is interesting is that I do get in my head and I have to self-analyze myself and say, why am I looking at this situation as something negative instead of looking at this and saying, this is the process I have to go through it in order to break through,
Yeah.
right? Because I think there's a lot of things that we hold on to because of our past, and we don't advance.
There's a great quote I always say on stage is stop replaying your past and start pre-playing your future.
There you go.
Focus on where you're going, focus and visualize and see what you want to happen, not what's happened before. Because what you focus on grows. You get what you think about most of the time.
Yeah,
Earl
yeah.
Nightingale said it in The Strangest Secret. Like, you need to ask yourself, what are you focused on? And you're also hung by your tongue. What you say is what you get. So
Yeah.
all this stuff is super important. And then the one thing I wanted to say is find the gold in every negative situation, because there's always gold, and the gold is the positive. It's like I was having this conversation. I think I actually said this in the movie. I said, your girlfriend cheats on you. Okay, your boyfriend cheats on you. You're in love with them. You're dating for 3 years, and you're like bawling your eyes out, right? Well, Tommy, where's the gold? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, okay, maybe you went through this pain to make you stronger, but 3 months down the line, you're going to meet the love of your life. That's going to treat you way better. You're just going to connect better banter, whatever the case may be. And you'll be way happier. So it's like, you never know what's coming, but if you just focus on the good, there's always gold.
Yeah.
You just gotta look for it.
Yeah. As when it comes to manifestation, right? It's there's a perspective that I have. When I go into scripture, I go into biblical principles. This is why it comes down to your environment, who you surround yourself with. Comes down to what I'm asking for, because my thing is God is my source, right? He is my provider. And when I'm asking, the Bible says that you do not receive because you ask for the wrong reasons. And I think sometimes we ask for things, but the intentions behind it is wrong because our hearts are not where it needs to be. And that's my
100%.
question I have for you. When it comes to manifestation, is there something that you need to work on yourself? Because sometimes people might mistake and say, you know what, I want a car.
Yeah.
I want a Lamborghini. Is that part of the manifestation, or do you have to work on yourself first in order for you to be like, you know what is the purpose of that Lamborghini? Is that happiness?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I know some people, you might teach it in a certain way, but then other people might understand it as, you know what? I want this, and this is what I want, and this is what I'm going to get.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. I think what I said on the podcast, or sorry, on the movie, when I was on set, was something similar. It's like, we could all sit here. Like,
Right.
yeah, I want a Lamborghini. Everyone wants a Lamborghini. Who doesn't want a Lamborghini?
Right.
Maybe a couple people, sure.
Right.
But if you went up to the average Joe on the street, like, hey man, do you want a Lamborghini? He's not
Mhm.
gonna say no. Or Ferrari or Rolls Royce,
Sure.
whatever. But the reality is they don't actually want the Lamborghini. There's no burning desire there. It's just it's just a nice to have. So when it comes to like manifestation, it's really like a 4-step process. You got to see it in your mind. You have to visually like close your eyes, visualize yourself driving the car, feel it. What's the color? Most people aren't intentional enough and not specific enough, right? They're too broad,
Right.
and that's why they get broad results. But if
Too
you're
much
very
noise.
yeah, but also they're not specific enough. So for example, what's the color of the interior? What's the steering wheel feel like?
Oh, wow.
Have you actually felt a steering wheel of a Lamborghini? Have you test drove a car? Because you can't manifest something you've never felt before. I mean, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imaginary. But if you go to the Lamborghini dealership or the Ferrari dealership down the street here, and you go test drive that car, you now know what it feels like to be behind that wheel. It's something called dream building. So you got to see it, you got to feel it, and then you got to have absolute certainty and believe it that it's already done. And when I say it's already done in the spiritual. The physical is just catching up. And then the last part is you got to go after it. You got to do the work, which is move. And most people think when it comes to manifesting, you can just like hover like a genie and your Lambo is going to pull up. And no, that's not how it works. How it works is you need to have the right execution, the right action, consistent action with effective execution. And you got to do the right things long enough consistently, but then see it in your mind, you know, believe it's already done.
So it's not hocus pocus.
No, but people forget the last step. People forget that, hey, you know what? I actually have to do the work too. I can't just sit on my balcony and look at the beautiful ocean in Miami.
Right.
And someone's just going to give me a car.
Exactly.
Could it happen like that? Yeah. Rarely.
Really rare.
100%.
Yeah.
And then also, like, there's something called your higher faculties. I'm sure you've heard of them. If you haven't and you're listening to this, it's your will, your perception, your imagination, your intuition, and your reason. And no animal or creature on the planet has them. Like all like pigs, cat, dogs, cows, whatever. We all have their 5 senses, which is seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, smelling. Right. But our higher faculties, if we use them and we work them like a muscle, like your intuition, for example, they get stronger. And that's how you can become magnetic. Yeah. And most people aren't magnetic enough because they haven't trained these muscles, just like working out in the gym. I saw you work out, you know?
Well, not much.
One of the reels says you do every day.
I have the genes, but that's something we're working on.
Right. And it's like building the habit. The same way it's like it takes time in the gym, it takes time in the spiritual. And then that's another thing is there's no time in the spiritual universe. People think that, okay, if I write down my goals, and you need to write down your goals in present tense, blue pen, blue ink, always, the paper. Way more effective. You send a vibrational frequency out to the universe. You can't see it, but if you write down in present tense, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have, or I am, you know, whatever comes after I am is who you become. And you do that over and over again, and then you see it, you feel it, and then you act, and you go after, and you get in alignment with that purpose, then you're going to get it. But most people don't do that. Most people just say they want something, like I want a Lambo. Okay. But you don't want it bad enough.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. I think there has to be the work that has to be put into it. And I think, you know, God, he gives us the talents. He wants us to also, and I think faith goes a little more beyond, because faith is believing in what you cannot see. So manifestation, and what you're explaining to me, is basically there is the sense of touch, or the sense of, okay, I see the object and I see the material part, and you start thinking about it and you start working towards that. Faith works a little bit different. It's basically, you don't see it, but you have faith and you're putting that before God. And I'm not talking too much about the material aspect. I think for me, it goes a little bit more beyond. And that's why I talk about purpose. And I want you to get into that, because I think, you know, you live with purpose. And that's why when I'm talking to you, it's like you're completely, you understand the direction you're going. And I think a lot of people are missing that part where it's purpose. Like, why do I do what I do? It's beyond more than just having a studio, building content. It goes beyond this realm, basically.
The why. Right?
The why. The
what hurts
reason.
you, what heightens you, the purpose, your alignment.
Exactly.
Going back to faith, though, and then I'll touch on that, is I totally agree with you. You know, faith is believing what you cannot see, right? It's just knowing it's going to come. It's kind of like driving a car through a dark tunnel. All you have in front of you is 2 headlights. And it's like, why do you keep driving? Right. Because you know that more light's going to be showing. I always say go as far as you can see. Once you get there, you'll be able to see a little bit further, just like driving through a tunnel. So that's where faith comes in. I think when it comes to like touching the steering wheel in the car example, or for example, you want a $1 million mansion on Star Island in Miami. Yeah. Like that's dream building. So that's like feeling it, like touching it, right? You know, smelling it. But that also just boosts manifesting what you're after.
Because you have to
stronger.
You have to create strategy now.
Yeah, but some things you can't touch, some things you can't see. You know what I mean? Like you have a dream wife or husband.
That's what I was gonna
What
say.
are you
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
do,
exactly.
right? Go grab people.
This is the one right here.
No, you can't do that. So that's where
Yeah.
visualization comes in, faith. But
Right.
dream building is more for the materialistic stuff. Going to try on that watch
Yeah.
or doing those things.
Okay.
So they're a little bit different. But
See, you're explaining it more because I asked a friend, which he was talking about. It's funny, he was talking about this today
yeah,
on his stories.
alignment that we're
Yeah, it's
talking about
crazy.
it right
He was
now.
talking about it, and I sent him a message because I wanted to ask this because I was always curious about it. It's not that I'm against it. I just have this. There is the side of me that is conservative, right? Where I'm very careful how I project things and how I never want to put myself above God's order because God knows all things,
Mhm.
right? He knows what my intentions really are. So I need to really search myself, search my heart. And one of the things I was asking him about manifestation was, does manifestation, is it based on location? Is it based on a capitalistic society? Uh, what is it based on? But I think you answered it in a way that I didn't think about it. And it's like, if you're here, you know that you're surrounded by Lamborghinis, and yeah, that's a possibility. But let's say somebody's in a poor country.
Mhm.
Does manifestation still work, and how does it work?
Great question. Think about, you know what a vision board is, dream board?
Yeah.
So imagine you have a vision board or dream board and you put a Lamborghini Huracan on there, 2024,
Sure.
orange, whatever. Okay. And you put it on your wall where you wake up, you open up your eyes in your bedroom. That's all you see,
Hmm.
the Lambo. And now what you're doing is you're programming an orange Lamborghini in your subconscious mind and creating neural pathways in your brain where all you're thinking about is an orange Lamborghini. So when you go outside or you go travel to
Mhm.
Miami, because maybe there's none in wherever you live,
Right.
you're just going to start seeing it and attracting it more into your life.
Mm,
So it's like what you think about, what you focus on comes about.
mm.
And really, if you're in a poor country or you're not in Miami, Florida,
Mhm.
well, I mean, hey, I literally wrote down on a piece of paper, I talked about this in the Art of Manifestation, when I was 20 years old, living in my parents' house, in my basement that I was a gaming room, I turned into an office. I wrote down on a piece of paper, I'm so happy and grateful now. I live in a penthouse loft overlooking the ocean, downtown Miami, Florida. It's already done. And
Mm.
there's no time in the spiritual. Today, I remember I was actually flying home after looking at like 20 different units in Miami. I was like, oh, I didn't feel it. You know, I'm very
Mhm.
big on like intuition. I'm an empath.
Right.
You know, I just didn't feel it. Like I wasn't feeling called by God. I was like, okay, I don't know if maybe I'm not supposed to move to Miami. So I'm
Mhm.
flying back from Miami to Toronto. I purchased Wi-Fi for the first time ever on an airplane. And I was like, you know, I'm going to post on Instagram, something like that. 10 seconds later, I got a text. Hey, it just came on the market. It was the exact place I manifested 6 years prior. And now I live
Wow.
there today.
That's
And
crazy.
I remember walking in there and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, this is
That's
literally what I
interesting.
wrote down on a piece of paper. And I forgot about it. And then it literally showed up 6 years later. I made a whole Instagram post about it, but
Wow.
it doesn't really matter where you are in the world.
Mhm.
It just matters if you can get a vision of it. Just go online and print off a picture.
Yeah.
Right. See it every day. There's another good thing that one of my mentors taught me. He said, get like a dream booklet. So basically you wake up, most people don't know this, but your subconscious mind is the most open to change and to basically reprogramming in your
Yeah.
first 30 minutes of being awake. You're just like disoriented in your own environment.
Mhm.
And then same when you go to sleep, your subconscious mind's wide open. So basically it can't reject information. So essentially if you have a dream booklet, and in this dream booklet, what do you have? You have pictures of Lamborghinis, the Rolls Royce, the house, the dream girl or guy, and then you're just scrolling through it or whatever you want your life to look like.
Mhm.
Everyone's dreams are different.
Right.
But then you open that, you just skim through it every single day. That's the first thing you're seeing when you wake up. So
Sure.
what is it doing? I mean, scientifically, it's
Programming.
it's programming you. So yeah, that's literally what I've done over years is just constantly seeing what I want. Like the background on my cell phone, it's charging over there, but it's literally all my goals. And every time I see it, I look at it. I open up my phone, I see my goals. See my goals. Most people have a picture of a dog on the back of their cell phone.
Mm.
And that's why they aren't seeing where they're going. You got to see where you're going. Then you need to back it up with action to get there.
I think reminding yourself all the time, because again, I always try to bring it back to scripture. It's like, constantly, if people read scripture, you can see that it's a repeat. Uh, it's like God repeating the same message in different formats. So it's like it is a form of
Yeah.
programming, because it's sometimes you have to just remind yourself of who you are, what your purpose is, and yeah, what you're saying makes sense. I mean, it is
I
something.
I grew up Catholic and Christian, right?
Mhm.
So, and obviously I learned the spiritual universe side of things through Bob and other mentors. So
Mhm.
everyone has different beliefs, and you can't convince somebody of one religion that this,
Oh
you
no,
got to
you
believe
can't
in
do
this
that.
religion.
Yeah.
But you know, it's one thing everyone agrees upon, and I'm sure you'll agree upon it. Let me know if you do, is you get what you think about most of the time.
Absolutely.
No matter what you believe in, whether it's like Christianity, you're Catholic, Roman Catholic, or you're Jewish, or you
Yeah.
believe in the Buddha, or you believe in nothing. You
Mhm.
believe in a higher power. Everyone thinks that. Everyone agrees with that one statement. So
Absolutely. That's scripture. That's, it says that, seek that what is pure,
mm,
right? So in other words, the more you feed your brain, you feed the ideas of negativity,
yeah,
you're going to be negative. So it all starts here in the mind. There's no
100%.
doubt.
That's why I love like helping people with mindset,
Yeah.
because it changed my life, and I'm like, yeah, I need to give this back. You
So
know,
tell me a little bit about that, because I love that part right there, because of the, one of the things I love the most is seeing lives being transformed.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that I dedicated my life as being a missionary for 9 years, was
that's powerful.
seeing lives being transformed, because their lives were just in this point where they said, this is the hand I've been given, and this is where, this is basically consequences of my decision. So it's like a punishment, and, bringing the truth that God sees them in a different way. It's like, no, no, no. Christ himself paid the price so you don't suffer
Yeah, he
the
walked
consequence
on
of that.
nails so we could walk on water.
Exactly. So for me, it's showing that and seeing that transformation, that mindset, even for me personally. I mean, God changed my mind. He changed my life completely. So I am a testament, a witness of what he did in my life personally. So seeing lives being transformed, it just does something to me that it excites me. I love it. So I love dedicating time to people. So how do you feel about it? What drive, does that drive you? What drives you on
Yeah,
that?
because like I said, I changed my whole life. I went from this guy who was just doing the wrong things to now doing the right things. And
Right.
people say, "Oh, you're so young." I feel young, but I'm also like I'm not. You know what I mean? To some
Mhm.
people, I am, but
Yeah,
to
yeah.
me, I'm not. And yeah, I think what drives me is legacy. I think
Mm,
that we're all going to be 6 feet under one day, and
yeah.
go up to the kingdom of heaven if
Mm,
that's what you believe. Listening to this,
mhm.
and what's going to happen is most people will forget about you, and unfortunately they'll show up to your funeral,
Mhm.
and then a year later they'll forget about you. Life goes on.
Life goes on.
And for me, why I'm writing my book, why I like doing podcasts, why I do speaking and travel the world and do that, is because I want to leave a lasting impact on future generations to come,
Yeah.
where people can go up to my gravestone one day that know me and were mentored by me and go, Tom
Mhm.
Hughes changed my life.
Yeah.
And for me, Tony Robbins taught me this at a young age, is success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. So not only
Yeah.
do I want to impact the world and leave a blueprint of impact, kind of like Jim Rohn, like people still know, who Jim Rohn is?
No, I don't.
Really great guy. He's
Really.
Tony Robbins' mentor,
Mm.
beast. Just like Bob did. All these people, I understand that not everyone's going to remember you, but if I can make a dent in this universe, that's a big thing for me. And then also like my family line, I want to
Yeah.
not necessarily break generational curses, but change and create generational wealth
Absolutely.
for my last name, for my parents, to
Yeah.
my kids, my brother and his family. Like for me, I believe there's always like the one in the family, like the black
Mhm.
sheep,
Mhm.
and I'm definitely that
You're the black sheep?
for sure, in the best way possible.
Right.
Because I've literally blocked out the noise, people's
That's awesome.
opinions, rumors, this and that. Like people will go, it's insane.
Yeah.
The more successful you become, the more haters you have. But that's fine.
Mm.
You just have to have like rhino skin, I like to call it.
Right.
If you actually try to like go stab a rhino with a knife, you can't get through. It'll
Dang.
break the knife because the rhino skin is so thick. So it's like a human, You need to mentally be so
Yeah.
tough and have rhino skin that
And that happens
nothing
with time
affects you.
too. That happens
Yeah,
with
man,
time too.
it's taken me like 6-7 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to go through trials
It
and
took me
tribulations.
longer than that.
Yeah. Well, I'm obsessed with personal development. Like
Yeah.
I eat,
That's
breathe,
awesome, man.
sleep, growth. So I wake up, I'm brushing my teeth, I'm listening to an audio, I'm reading a book, or I'm listening to like frequencies, or I'm going to events. I'm always growing. I always say one of my favorite quotes, literally have it on a pair of my shoes, is if you're not growing, you're dying. You're subconsciously slipping backwards. So for me, growth is a must. And the best leaders are the best students. And in order to be a great leader, a global thought leader, you have to be a good student. You always got to be willing to grow, learn, and there's always another level. Yeah. And one of the biggest things that stops people, and you'll probably love this, is ego. And ego stands for edging God out.
Yeah.
So people
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So people have this massive ego, and it stops them because they're not teachable and coachable. They're not willing to learn, because you can learn something from anybody and everybody. You can learn from the homeless guy off the street what not to do, right? We can learn from each other. You know, we can learn from anybody. It doesn't matter who they are. So you just got to be willing to use your discernment, you know, and know what's the right information. Mm-hmm. But then it goes back, you asked me this earlier, you know, how do people get to that point? It's their self-image, right? It's their self-image. It's working on your inner self. It's like how you look in the mirror when you tell yourself, hey, Roger, Tommy, you look like a snack. You know what I mean? Like, you're a beautiful human. Like, do you love yourself? Do you have self-love? Because you need to have that in order to love somebody else, then in order to lead a team or mentor people. So you got to work on you first before you can help other people. So people need to work on their self-image. Yeah. Because most people's self-image is messed up. And then their paradigm, which is the way you think, it's a multitude of habits, way you do everything in life. Yeah. People, it's like, it affects everything. So people need to change their paradigm, which affects their relationship with money, friendships, business, their weight, the way they talk, their confidence when they walk in the room, everything, man. So people got to work on this self-image, and then they just really need to study the right information. Because if you there's two ways to really change your paradigm. It's repetition of positive information, and then an emotional impact moment, and then get rid of that ego, like I said. So. Yeah, that's one thing I always work on myself, man, is the ego, man. Making sure that, you know, whenever there's a situation where even though I'm older, I might have more experience on certain things. Yeah. It's always that little percentage of, hey, man, you might not, just stay quiet, listen, pay attention. You might learn something here. Because I'm always reflecting on past experiences and saying to myself, okay, you're acting like this because of your past. Don't let that interfere. So it's like this conversation I'm having with myself. It's like, shut up. You're just reacting because of the past. That's the program. That's the paradigm. You got to break it. You got to break it. You got to shift the paradigm. It's funny because it seems like we are aligned on this, because, you know, 100%. This week I was talking about that. It's one of my devotionals that I'm doing. I'm doing some videos on devotions, and it's regarding image. And for me, I started explaining that when I look in the mirror, who do I see, right? You want to see the person you want to reflect. And we're always basing our image on somebody else. For some reason, we're always basing comparison
our image.
Is the thief of all joy, though.
Always.
And everyone's doing it. People go through Instagram. They're like, "Wow, I wish." Oh, this person got this and this and that, and it was happening to me. I was looking at things and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" But this person's doing this, and then I don't have this and this, and bro, it was just eating me up alive. And I was like, no. So for me, on the spiritual aspect is, do I see Christ in my life? When I look in the mirror, do I see him? Because it's perfection. And this idea, and I was sharing this with people, is, you know, I always ask the question, do you believe in perfection? And a lot of people say no. And I say, that's completely wrong. Perfection is possible. Because Jesus himself says that be imitators of Christ, and Jesus was perfect in all his ways. So we always like to put in our minds that, oh, you know what, perfection, because we say perfection like I'm better than you. That's not what it means, you know? So I want to be able to reflect the image of God, the image of Christ, because for me, when I look at him, I see perfection. I see a person that's always doing good. I see a person that sacrifices life for all humanity. Mm-hmm. So there's so many things that I want to be just like that. There's nothing negative about that, you know?
So, when you were talking about that, the image, I was reflecting at this week. I was like, looking at myself, I was like, this is not the person I want to be. I need to change that.
Yeah. And you can only change a little bit at a time. I always say if you can grow 1% a day, a whole year from now,
My
you're going
goodness,
to be
yeah.
365%
But
better.
people are just thinking it's 100%. It's like
You
90%, but just
need to
1%.
do little things, little changes over a long period of time. Be a whole new person a year from now. I always tell people, like, I change every 6 months. Like, I tell my friends, okay, you're going to see me in 6 months. If you don't see me because I'm traveling.
Different hair color?
Different. I just, yeah, facts. I dyed my hair platinum.
That's one thing I remember.
The Miami effect, right? So, but even since moving to Miami, like, I've changed in a really good way and better ways, because your environment, you're talking about your environment, law of association, where you live, who you get around, it changes.
Absolutely.
Different frequencies, different vibrations, the people you attract in all areas. So if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
People say, oh, Tommy, you changed. Yeah, you didn't. You stayed the same, bro. Like, you want to be growing. You want to be becoming better. Because if you're not, then you're just going to be stagnant. And to be honest, there's no such thing as being stagnant, I believe. I think you're either going backwards or forwards. Same thing in business.
I like that, because just you here in the studio, it just puts fire into my mind in the sense of, okay, this is what I need to do. So it does encourage me to pursue that, and that's why, for me, fellowship, community is very important.
So important.
Your environment is very important, because if you're surrounding yourself with the wrong people that stay stagnant and just stay in that position, you're just going to be the same thing. You're going to be comfortable.
If you hang out with 5 broke people, you're going to be the 6th. Hang out with 5 people doing drugs all the time, they're weekend warriors, you're going to be the 6th, right? If you hang out with 5 people working on their goals, talking about making money, businesses, new ideas, growing their current businesses, doing personal development, being a part of a good community, going to church, whatever the case may be, you're going to be the 6th person. So you got to ask yourself who you're spending your time with, you're allowing in your inner circle. My inner circle is, like Drake says, it's so small, it's a period. You know what I mean? And I'm very careful of who I allow in my energy, even who I get on the phone with nowadays. Because I'm like very careful, because people can actually infect your energy, good and bad.
Right.
I've been around some of my mentors who have made hundreds of millions of dollars, and being around them, it allows you to believe you can do the exact same thing because you're around it. You know what I mean? But then when you hang out with your friends that are broke, okay, or back in your hometown, and they're talking about how it's hard to make money, and they're speaking these things, it's like going into your ear. I literally don't surround myself with people that have this broke mentality or poverty or a lack mentality. I can't. I literally can't. Like, and if it keeps happening, like,
same here, man.
You won't catch me in those rooms anymore. You know what I mean? So you gotta ask yourself who you getting around.
Yeah, I
always say try to be the brokest person in the room.
Wow. So you just,
because then your standard raises.
It humbles yourself too.
But it's like, imagine you make $10,000 a month. Okay, sure, you could say it's decent, but then you're hanging out with guys that all have made 100 million plus. Do you think your standard's going to go up or down? It's going to go up. It's like, I played hockey my whole life. If I play with people that are worse than me, do I get better? No,
you get worse.
I actually stop skating as hard.
Right.
I don't go as hard. I like chill more. But if I'm playing with people better than me, I need to get better. So it's law of association, law of association,
right?
Law of your environment and just who you're getting around, man.
Yeah,
so
man.
I'm very careful with who I spend my time, even who I text. Like,
that's awesome, man. It's the same thing too. I learned that the hard way. I had to cut ties with certain people, and people just sometimes they're like, why did you do that? I said, look, it's for myself. I try not to. I don't blame the other person. I'm careful for myself, because at the end, it's my decision, not their decision. So for me, especially when I was in that transition of letting go of drugs and just the nightlife and all the crazy lifestyle that I had before, I remember family members, friends came up to me and they're like, we felt like you sold out. You left us. I said, bro, listen. It had nothing to do with you guys.
Yeah.
It wasn't that you guys were bad. The problem was I was weak. So for me, I had to separate myself from you guys, because if I stayed with you guys, I would be lost.
I mean, and
So
then it's a question of asking, who do you allow to influence you?
exactly.
And
You know,
influence is very, very, it's like a scary thing, but a good thing also.
yeah. So for me was okay, and it's funny because I was the influencer,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I was like, I don't want to put myself in that circle. I need to change my environment because if I stay in the same environment, I'm gonna get stuck.
I think most
So,
people are trying to escape the reality too. That's why they go to the
mm,
club. That's why they drink, hit
oh
the
my
end of the
goodness,
bottle. I
absolutely,
mean, I've been there. And I
right,
think when you're 17, 18, you don't really know. Like you're just like with the crowd, right? Like most
absolutely,
people are sheeple. They just follow the herd,
mm-hmm.
but you got to observe the masses and do the opposite. So when you don't
Yeah,
know better growing up, most people aren't taught, hey, write down your goals. Most people aren't taught about manifestation or gratitude or prayer
mm,
or whatever the case may be. Most people aren't taught those things. And
mm-hmm.
that's why self education is so, so important. And like
Yeah,
finding a mentor, I believe, is one of the best things I ever did.
yeah,
I think they're a shortcut to success.
yeah. You know, I barely know you, but there's something interesting about you, and that is you're humble.
Thank
I
you.
don't know if you're gonna take that in a bad way or in a good way,
No,
because
I
some people
appreciate
think
it.
that. I think you're humble. Just the fact that you reached out, wanted to jump on the podcast. There is always intentions for that, because I think you're intentional with everything you do.
100%.
Um, and the reason why I'm saying that is because I want to understand how you deal with crowds, right? Whenever you're massive successful in what you're doing, right? And you're attracting a lot of people towards you. How do you how do you manage success,
Hmm.
right? Because it's sometimes it's not about the money, right?
Yeah.
We look at, for example, Hollywood stars and stuff like that. They're not rich. A lot of people think that they're rich and stuff like that. They're not. They're just famous
Some of them
people.
are, but some of them aren't. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but it's just an illusion, and sometimes that gets to their head, and then there's just
Ego
attraction to
kicks
them,
in,
ego
all
kicks in
that.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that?
I actually am so happy you asked this question. I love this question because no one's ever actually asked me this on a
Mm,
podcast, and I've been on tons.
there you go.
Never forget where you came from,
Mm,
and never get too big for the little things, or you'll get too small for the big things. Like I speak at conferences. I think the biggest event I spoke at was like almost 8,000 people
wow.
in Croatia, and yeah, someone comes up to you asking you for like a nugget of gold or a mindset
Mhm,
gem or a piece of advice to grow in their business or a picture. Like
mhm,
I'm never the type to be like, oh no, I can't do it. Like I like to give people the time of day. Like if
mm,
someone comes up to me after an event, because that's when it mostly happens after like I crush a keynote,
right.
and they like want to talk to me and exchange contact information. Obviously, I don't just give out my number to
No,
every single
absolutely.
person. Can't be doing
Every
that,
night.
but right. But I mean, if there's value exchange there,
Absolutely.
people always ask like the question, how do I become friends with successful people?
Mm,
Here's nugget of gold is how figure out how you can give value to them.
that's right.
How can I serve them? Because
Mm,
everyone's like, oh my God, let's collab, like do this, do this.
right.
But it's like, what value do you bring to the table? Because
Mhm,
if you bring a successful person who already has money, they already have success, like they don't need what you're selling, but you
mhm,
bring them value, that's when you get into their circle. So for me, I always give people the time of day. I never get too big for the little things. And I'm always willing to have the conversations with the newest person. I
that's
have
awesome.
a team of like 2,000 plus people I mentor right now. And someone reaches out and I have no idea who they are, and they send me a
Mhm.
voice note. Like some people send me like 9 minutes worth of voice notes.
Oh
Like, you
my
think I want to
gosh.
listen to that? Absolutely not. But I do it anyways when I have
Right.
time to get back to them,
Yeah.
because I remember being that guy, man. And I remember kind of when I started my journey, I was like thrown to the wolves, like no
Mm,
mentor. So you never know who the next diamond in the rough is or
that's
the next
right.
needle in the haystack. And I'm always gonna keep myself there. And if I don't, feel free to shoot me a DM and remind me. But I think the bigger you get, you just got to remember where you came from
Mhm.
and know that there's the next upcoming star, next upcoming
Yeah.
stud. And there's always another level, man. All right. You make six figures, there's seven. You make seven, there's eight,
Mhm,
nine. Right. So it's like no matter how big you get, you just got to stay humble and
mhm.
be willing to serve. And that's where I think leadership comes into play. I've done a
Yeah, I
lot of
like that word
leadership
serve.
development.
Yes. Yeah.
And like I really believe in servant leadership as well, as like
Absolutely.
giving value to people where you have no financial benefit, just helping people out, man. Because
Oh,
people won't always remember what you say, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. So
yeah.
I
I
try to make
love
people
that.
feel good, man. Feel good now. feeling's the secret in life and success in general. But yeah, that's kind of how I would deal with it. And how I do deal with it.
No, I love it. Yeah, man. I had a situation like that. Again, like I told you, I was a missionary for 9 years, and I remember the sensation that I had, seeing people coming up to me and me working with individuals and seeing their lives being transformed, and it's an amazing feeling. But there was something that started brewing in my mind, and it wasn't ego or anything like that. It was more of a praising myself and saying to myself, like, look at me.
Yeah.
And I remember having that. I remember I was in church and I was in front of the church, and people were basically just thankful for the work I was doing, and this pride came over me.
You did that in Brazil or
here in the US? Here. And after that, things started going downhill.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it wasn't negative; it was necessary. Right now that I see that,
like checks you.
Yeah. And God had to just check me, man. And I was like,
yeah,
my goodness, man, how could I just take that up? Because in reality, what I do, the work that I was doing, wasn't my doing, because everything that I was able to achieve was all by God's grace. In other words, what God did in my life, and I was being an instrument to serve others. The other thing was I was a vessel. And the other thing is I had so many people that I can count on that were helping me to achieve those goals.
Yeah.
Right. So I had someone that had money, that if somebody needed assistance, I would go to that person and say, hey, man, this person needs this. Can you help me out? Absolutely.
That's awesome.
So, it was a network of people that were part of that. So people saw me as the face, but in reality, there was a lot of other things happening in the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So, God checked me in a very interesting way. And I was like, never letting pride get in the way.
Yeah. It's hard to do, but like if you don't, you get checked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've always tried to keep myself grounded, because
yeah.
You go do a big event, but guess what? There's always a bigger event.
Absolutely.
There's always another person to help.
Yeah.
It's always another relationship, and you can just stay grounded, stay humble.
And that's what I think the serving comes in, because I think, you taught me something today, and again, I appreciate that, is, you admire the small things, and being in service keeps you in check.
Yeah. The little things matter so much. Like I'm like, that's a big, like, pet peeve of mine, when people don't appreciate little things. Like, let's say you buy, I'm not to get into dating, but you buy a girl dinner. She doesn't say thank you. I'm like, come on. Like, you're like, honestly, that's I'm actually doing a dating podcast on Wednesday. First time ever.
First time. Okay.
Because we're usually talking about what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But like, that is like, come on, it's like the little things, like show gratitude.
Absolutely.
And gratitude, like I wake up every day, I say 5 things I'm grateful for. You should be grateful to everybody. Like, I'm grateful to be on this podcast. We didn't know each other coming here today. We literally met today, and
that's right.
We're having an amazing conversation, and I'm so grateful for this.
Absolutely, man.
And
absolutely.
You just got to be grateful. You got to be grateful for the people, the relationships, and then as a leader, when it comes to like serving, I always say take all the blame and give all the credit.
Wow.
Instead of trying to be the guy or be like him or her, like give out like it's this person. Like, if you raise other people up, they'll pull you up with them. And I think you're only successful in life when you send the elevator back down to bring people up with you.
You said something that reminded me of the story, of Jesus. He was with his disciples, and there was a moment that he goes and the disciples were in the room, and he starts, taking off his cloth, and he starts getting ready to wash their feet. And the disciples were like, no, you ain't washing my feet. This is a servant's job.
Right.
Like, you're not going to do that to us. And Jesus says, if I don't do this, you have no part in me. So Jesus goes and washes their feet.
Never get too big for the little things.
Man, I'm telling you. So it's like, it was so humbling to see that. So the things that you talk about, and that's why it's interesting that the conversations we have, and you see the effect that it has, the positive effect that it has, and you see these same principles that Jesus kind of teaches. He's like, you got to humble yourself. You got to serve, and I'm just so amazed of what it does to us as, humans, as a person, and some people might look at that as weakness, but it's not. There's so much power into that, man.
Yeah. If you can't look at it as weakness, that's where people mess up. They're like, oh, I'm not doing that. It's weak.
Yeah.
Like, even as a man, being vulnerable, people see it as weakness, or being authentic, but authenticity is like 4 times more powerful than love.
Much more powerful.
Being in your authentic self and getting in alignment with your purpose. Otherwise, God will check you.
Yeah.
You go off the deep end, he'll take you out of the water.
Absolutely.
But he's gonna make you feel the burn of not being able to breathe for a minute there.
Absolutely, man.
You just gotta try to be in your authentic self at all times.
That's awesome, man.
And not be something you're not.
Yeah.
And then just work on yourself, like you said. Like no. Although you were talking about perfection, no one's perfect at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, if you can look in the mirror and just say, hey, I got better than yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm better this week than I was last week, then you're improving.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
Yeah. So what's the plans for Tommy? What's next?
What's next? So we got the book coming out,
right?
Mastering Your Mind.
You got 2 movies.
Just got 2 movies. Might be on a dating show. Who knows?
Dating show. So you're talking about. How do you see dating, man? How do you see relationships? I know you're gonna have that podcast. We're not gonna go too much into it, but how do you see relationships, man?
Man, I think that,
is that something you're looking for?
I wouldn't say looking, but I would say
you manifesting.
Manifesting, right? No, facts. I think for, this is a deep conversation, but just to touch on it a little bit, I think that when the right one comes about,
right,
you'll know. And I'm not in a rush.
There you go.
I'm just growing businesses.
It's an important thing, man.
Growing the personal brand, who I am, helping more people. And when you feel it, when you know, you know. And I think that people waste their time in relationships. I think people that get into relationships with someone because they want comfort, they want to feel secure, because
they
they're
go
insecure.
into the wrong reasons.
Yeah, people literally stay with like their girl or guy because they feel important, because they're insecure within themselves. Like, I think with a relationship, you need to be whole. Like, imagine like a puzzle. Okay, so you're Roger, you're your own puzzle. Tommy, I'm my own puzzle. But then we find, like, if a beautiful girl, amazing woman, and she has her own puzzle too, but somehow your puzzles like perfectly connect. And I think you have to build your puzzle to a certain point of being whole to then grow with another person. Otherwise, you're going to attract someone that's also not growing and still doing the work. Can you grow with somebody? 100%. But I mean, I'd rather be whole and then them be whole and then grow together. So yeah, I mean, we could go deep into relationships, but I'll say that
it's another
for now.
podcast.
Yeah,
it's
another podcast. But
yeah.
So what's next for me? I'm going on tour for speaking. So a lot of upcoming events. Been super well connected with like Les Brown's best friend, great guy.
That's awesome.
So I have an event in Calgary, Alberta, going back to the roots of Canada, even though I'm from like Toronto, Ontario. Going to Vancouver, got some events out there. Supposed to go on like a cruise to speak in Alaska.
Look at you, man. Hey.
Supposed to go to the States for a couple events, Europe. So just a bunch of speaking engagements, working with the team, mentoring more people. I got my new mindset educational course coming out soon.
Okay,
so
where can people find that?
Well, just Instagram and my website. So Tommy_Ooze.
Tell the
Tommy
audience.
_Ooze. All right. Ooze is spelled U-Z. Okay. We say Z in Canada, but it's really, think about a mini Uzi, or U as an umbrella, Z as in zebra. All right. So Tommy_Ooze on Instagram is the best place, or TommyOoze.com. So very simple places to find me, connect with me. If you guys got value, let me know. Shoot myself or Roger a DM. But that's really what's coming up, is just more speaking engagements, more impacting. I'm actually getting into producing for music as well. So the goal right now is I'm doing tours for speaking, but 2026, it's going to be literally like speaking by day, massive DJ gig at night. Because I've already played in Vegas. I've done music festivals. So the whole goal is like, okay, inspire people, impact, and then get them on the highest vibration possible.
Okay.
You don't need to be drunk and on drugs to do it.
There you go. I
want to bring a different spin to it. I want to, the world's changing. Sobriety.
So what frequency are you using?
Man, I'm gonna inject. So I don't want people to steal it, but I don't really care. I'm gonna inject like 963 hertz, which opens up your third eye, like into my songs or affirmations. Like, people are listening to all this music, right?
Right.
And think about it. People listen to music about drugs and killing and rap.
Absolutely.
But imagine a sick house music song with an unreal drop, and it's like an affirmation saying like, "I'm a millionaire," for example. And it's like you're singing, "I'm a millionaire." What are you doing? And you're jumping around singing that, you're speaking it into existence. So I'm gonna bring a different vibe to the music industry.
There you go.
My brother and I, we do it together, and I'm just super excited.
Music does have an impact
For
on a
what's
lot.
to
It had
come.
an impact on me. So
Yeah, man, if you're ever feeling bad,
yeah,
leave people with somebody, go throw on your favorite song and jump around.
yeah.
Find ways to feel good now. It's the best way to do it, then go after what you want. But that's how to follow me, stay connected.
Awesome,
And bro, I really appreciate you having me today.
Oh,
I
man.
enjoyed this. Love
Loved
this
it.
setup. I think probably my favorite setup.
Oh, appreciate
Honestly,
you, man.
I'd say top two. For
Appreciate
sure,
it, man.
for sure.
Appreciate it, Tommy. Hopefully we can, stay connected. I
100%.
appreciate you coming on the podcast, and again, just sharing knowledge, man. And I just want to share something with you. And we talked about legacy.
Mhm.
There's one thing that I believe in so much, and that is, we have a mission to impact people's lives.
100%.
I know that I have a mission to share Christ with people. And I want you to know that there will be a time where people at the end will be able to reflect on what you did in their lives, and that's something that is, I believe in the life that God is going to give us for eternity. This is not the end. For us, I see eternity. So that's why I think it's very important for all of us, what we do, our character building, the effects that we have on people. This is the one time. There isn't, a second Tommy, a third Tommy, a fourth Tommy.
Yeah, one
This
chance.
is Tommy. This is you.
Yeah.
And I think that what you're doing is an amazing work, helping people, see their potential, their purpose. And God is going to use you. God is using you for tremendous things. So
I appreciate
continue
you.
that, man.
Thank
Really
you, man.
appreciate the
Means a
relationship,
lot.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Let's
I'm
do it.
excited. Let's
Awesome.
go.
Awesome, bro.
I appreciate you. My guy.
There you go.